The Joker. He is the most recognizable villain in Batman's world, and in many ways, the most dangerous. Born from a single bad day, at least according to one version of his origin, the Joker is a man who lost his grip on reality and decided that chaos was the only honest response to an absurd world. The details shift depending on who is telling the story. Sometimes a failed comedian, sometimes just an ordinary man caught in an impossible situation. He has no superpowers, no grand political agenda. What he has is a complete absence of fear and a need to prove that anyone, given the wrong circumstances, can break. His relationship with Batman is less about crime and more about philosophy. He genuinely believes the two of them are the same, just on different sides of a line he thinks is imaginary. He keeps coming back not to defeat Batman, but to finish the argument. That is what makes him so unsettling. He is not trying to win. He is trying to make a point. Two-Face. Before the acid, he was Harvey Dent, Gotham's most celebrated district attorney and one of Batman's closest allies. The attack that scarred half his face did more than change his appearance. It split his personality along a fault line that was already there. Harvey had always struggled with anger, with darkness. The trauma simply gave that side of him permission to take over. He now makes every decision by flipping a coin, his way of surrendering control to chance. The tragedy is that he was genuinely good once, and part of him still is. Batman never stops believing Harvey can come back. That hope is usually what gets Batman hurt. The Riddler. He needs to be the smartest person in the room, and he needs everyone to know it. Edward Nygma is a man whose obsessive need for recognition has turned into something criminal. He leaves clues, puzzles, and riddles at every crime scene, not because he has to, but because he cannot resist proving his own genius. The compulsion is almost self-destructive. He is essentially daring Batman to catch him, and deep down, he may be more interested in finding someone who can match his intellect than in any actual criminal goal. He does not want to get away. He wants to be understood. But no one ever understood him. The Penguin. Oswald Cobblepot grew up wealthy, but was never respected. Short, overweight, and mocked for his appearance, he developed a cold ruthlessness behind a veneer of culture and refinement. He runs Gotham's criminal underworld not through brute force, but through money, influence, and social connections. He owns nightclubs, bribes politicians, and understands power in a way most villains do not. In some stories, he operates in legal gray areas, just beyond Batman's reach, less a monster than a product of Gotham's corrupt social structure. He wanted respect, and he found the fastest route available to get it. Mr. Freeze. Victor Freeze was a cryogenic scientist trying to save his terminally ill wife, Nora. When his funding was cut by a corrupt executive, he suffered a lab accident that altered his physiology permanently. He can now only survive at sub-zero temperatures. Everything warm in his life is unreachable. His wife suspended in ice. His own body sealed inside a suit that keeps him alive and keeps the world at a distance. He commits crimes only to fund research that might one day wake her. He does not enjoy violence. He does not crave power. The sadness underneath his story is what separates him from almost every other villain in Batman's world. Poison Ivy. Pamela Isley started as a botanist, brilliant and passionate about plant life in a world that barely noticed it. She was transformed through experimentation, becoming something between human and plant, immune to toxins, capable of controlling vegetation, and deeply convinced that humanity is a disease the natural world would be better without. She is not wrong that ecological destruction is real. Her methods, however, tend toward the extreme. She is one of the few Batman villains with a cause larger than herself, which makes her both more sympathetic and more genuinely difficult to dismiss. Now, the one you waited for, Scarecrow. Jonathan Crane was a psychology professor who specialized in fear and was himself bullied and tormented throughout his childhood. He developed a toxin that forces victims to experience their deepest fears as vivid hallucinations. He does not use it simply as a weapon. He studies the results, because fear, to him, is a science, and Gotham is his laboratory. He has no physical strength, but he has made Batman confront his own psychological limits more than almost any other villain. There is something deeply ironic about a man who weaponizes what he himself spent a lifetime trying to escape. Bane. He was born in a prison, raised inside it, and never knew anything else until he broke free through sheer willpower and intellect. Bane is physically enormous, enhanced by a drug called Venom that pushes human strength to an extreme. But what makes him truly formidable is his mind. He studied everything available inside that prison and spent months mapping out every detail of Batman's life. Before the night, he broke Bruce Wayne's spine. He is one of the few villains who beat Batman completely, not by accident, but by planning. That distinction matters because it means it could happen again. Gotham's villains are not random. Each one holds a mirror up to something broken in the city, in the system, or in Bruce Wayne himself. That is what makes Batman's world so enduring. The real darkness was never in the shadows.